Post-game Mycospawn transition and winter notes end of 2011. My varsity soccer team's first playoff game ended up being their last, and it was a tough one to watch. I knew that I would have made a difference in the game if I was out there, and eventually it was clear that the team just wasn't going to bounce back. Aside from that, I didn't have much emotionally invested in the game, so I wasn't as bummed out as River and Thomas once the final whistle was blown. The plan had been for us all to consume Mycospawn that night after the game at Thomas's house, but since they had not won, River and Thomas had lost all spirit necessary to have a good Mycospawn consumption. I didn't want to hear it though, and selfishly decided to take a dose of Mycospawn anyway for my own emotional reasons. River wasn't pleased with this, a rare occasion where he fancied my Mycospawn decision ill-conceived. I assured them both that it'd be a fun time and that they didn't have to worry about me. They could just treat it like a normal night of consuming green power. So I consumed the dose of Mycospawn and awaited the presence of psilocytes to enter my consciousness. The experience started off with some green power consumption and the odd choice of going downstairs to watch television, something we rarely did at Thomas's house. Thomas only had 5 channels on his television, and somehow one of those channels happened to have Radiohead performing the song Optimistic. I was blown away at the sight of them, since I hadn't expected one of my favourite bands to casually appear within this modest channel selection. Psilocytes had already started to show his presence as he showered the band with colourful gradient distortions, and I saw Tom York's face go from magenta-tinted to turquoise. After we enjoyed the performance, one that felt like a first listen to a song I had grown up with, we went down to the basement for some foosball. Foosball was the ultimate pastime of our group hangs at Thomas's, and I was excited to see what it would be like under the influence of the Mycospawn. As we played, I looked away from the game and noticed that the chalk artwork on the concrete wall behind Thomas looked like it was 3D, as if the wall went deep like a swimming pool and the images were set at different depths in the pool. It was a bit of a distraction, but I contained my amusement and managed to play a solid game. Eventually, we stopped and went up to Thomas's room, where we set up our sleeping bags. Thomas and River were exhausted from the green power usage, but the Mycospawn kept me wide awake. I noticed them both fall asleep in a second, and after I spaced out in the dark for an unknown amount of time, I got up to go to the bathroom. In the bathroom, I got stuck staring at the stars outside the tiny windows, consumed by my fascination with the enormity of everything. I also stared at myself in the mirror and saw a reflection that did not look like myself, but rather like someone from my first grade class, a random throwback. It came over me then that I shouldn't leave the bathroom until I looked like myself again. So I stayed in the bathroom for an hour or so with the lights off as I continued my stare at the stars. It was an interesting time. I was mostly recovered from my collarbone injury, and on the come down from a great unknown journey, not to mention on the last day of a soccer season I could not play in. Vibes were about to change, and I was ready for the next chapter. There had been far too much suffering in the past 2 months, and I was ready to use this Mycospawn experience to make a new path for myself. Eventually, I got tired and noticed that my reflection had returned to normal, so I went back to my sleeping bag and had no problem falling asleep. November 7th, 2011. You set yourself up for love. You create the forecast of doves, just like you know a song never sung. November 16th, 2011. I try and gaze into an opaque window. I set myself straight when I watch your love blow out of my mind. I close my eyes. November 17th, 2011. Contrary to the previous pledge, I felt the need to approach a ledge. Though unfavourable, I feared no fall. I stood on the edge for the thrill of it all. We spoke of unconscious collective signs. I laughed at the thought of hidden lines. We watched the foundation flow with ease. I lost my focus and fell towards the trees. In a bedroom with darkness enhanced, a greater illusion, with my vision it danced. I totaled taboos and contemplated course action, but after consideration, there was no interaction. A moonlit restroom where time moves quick. I sway back and forth to the rhythmic tick-tick. November 21st, 2011. A steady pace as time goes to waste. The moon's face shines bright in these states. But who am I to dissolve myself? Am I really in optimal health? When was that time that I zoned out spaced? Those were the colours of a different state. But there was light and future to behold. These holy visions make our bodies sold. Face to face our eyes will meet. We will make the best shape they've seen. And even when they want a photograph, there they will fall straight into our path. November 29th, 2011. They say there's nothing worse than when you smoke and when you cheat, but for some reason, I think only one of those is true deceit. The other is a pathway to a world you need to know. Sometimes what makes you happy isn't what you need the most. Learn to whisper and to find no conflicts. Talk and love each other to make a mix. Follow what's according to your happiness. Fear of commitment you will not miss. Will you get married? Will you surely have a kid? In love have you fell, or tried some DSL? To grow up is not something you should rush in a sense. Have your fun, and wait long to make more suspense. November 30th, 2011. Look into his past, read through all his favourite books. Can't you tell he's honest from all those sincere looks? You say that he walks strange as if there might be something wrong. Maybe you should listen to his disc of favourite songs. All he wants is someone to believe in, to walk the parks and lay down in the green with. If you're trusting, you'll learn all you need to know. It's so easy, and you know you won't catch on slow. December 4th, 2011. Lay your head back with a playful sigh. You never know how you look, but you might as well try. Is there really no better way to try to spend your life? They tell you what you want is gonna come in due time. December 7th, 2011. Here is so weird. When I can't find someone dear, who's to say what's not love and what is? Who wrote the script for a first kiss? Can't stand to see you so scared and shy. You don't know what's good until you try. Why should I have to say hello? You don't always have to take things slow. December 15th, 2011. Is there something that's been sitting in your mind? Do you have a reason for a swift decline? It's not a life you have to find. It's all just a simple rhyme. Something thought up and saved over time. Can you believe the dark line of men before your eyes? They move as you groove between thoughts and trails of light. You're watching what you want to do. You keep thinking, I want to make it this time. But you just got to realize that it isn't real. That's not your life. Am I really just off and dreaming big? Will I ever be in that situation? Don't want to feel like a pig. Never want to smoke them cigs. Looking up from the ocean floor. Don't know if that's who I am anymore. I never saw it as a whirlpool pull. I only wanted to enrich my soul. You never wonder what the water's like. You take the rhythm like you're born to fly. It makes forever seem like seasoned cries. You're pulling love and you're swimming fine, and that sand seems so unsatisfied, so crystalline and solidly electrified. I know I'll always be up for a dive. I need that chill to know that I'm still alive.